I used to think I could trust my instincts when it came to people. My name is Lily, and if there's one thing I've learned in the past year, it's that not all smiles are genuine. I believed that if someone was kind, charming, and always had something nice to say, they were good. But then I met Sarah, and she taught me that some of the most dangerous people in your life are the ones who seem the sweetest. Sarah appeared in my life like a breath of fresh air. I was going through a rough patch. My relationship had just ended, my job was stressful, and I felt disconnected from the people around me. When Sarah started at my workplace, it was like I had been given a lifeline. She was friendly, approachable, and had this uncanny ability to make everyone feel special. She had a way with words, effortlessly brightening any room she walked into. It wasn't long before we were spending all our lunch breaks together, sharing secrets, and becoming what I thought were close friends. But as I would later realize, Sarah wasn't interested in friendship. She was interested in control. Why? That's something I still struggle to understand completely. Maybe it was a game to her, a way to boost her own ego by manipulating those around her. Maybe she enjoyed the power of knowing that she could make or break someone with just a few well-placed words. Whatever her reasons, they were hidden behind layers of charm and sweetness, so well disguised that by the time I saw the truth, it was almost too late. The shift in our relationship started subtly, almost imperceptibly during one of our usual lunch breaks. We were sitting in our favorite spot, a little park near the office, under the shade of a large oak tree. It was one of those perfect days where the sun was shining, and the air was just warm enough to be comfortable. Sarah had brought homemade sandwiches, and as we ate, she started talking about the people at work. "You know, I've been noticing something lately," she said, her voice casual, almost as if she was talking about the weather. "It seems like a lot of people here don't really appreciate you, Lily. I mean, I do, obviously, but I don't think they see how hard you work." I was taken aback. I hadn't noticed anything unusual, but the way Sarah said it made me wonder if I had missed something. "Really? I hadn't thought about it that way," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. Sarah shrugged, giving me a sympathetic smile. "Oh, don't worry about it. Maybe I'm just being overprotective. I just think you deserve more recognition, that's all. You're so talented, and I hate seeing you get overlooked." Her words were like honey, sweet, but with an underlying stickiness that clung to me long after the conversation ended. Over the next few weeks, Sarah continued to plant little seeds of doubt in my mind. She'd mention how other people were talking behind my back or how they were taking credit for my ideas in meetings. Each time she'd reassure me that she was on my side, that she was the only one I could truly trust. It was during one of our after-work drinks that the cracks began to show. We were sitting at a bar downtown, the kind with dim lighting and a relaxed vibe. Sarah had just finished telling a story about her old job, something about how she had been the backbone of the team but had left because she wasn't appreciated. I was halfway through my drink when she turned to me, her expression suddenly serious. "Lily, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice lowering. "I didn't want to say anything before, but I overheard a conversation between your boss and one of the higher-ups. They were talking about you, and it wasn't good." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What did they say?" I asked, my heart beginning to race. Sarah leaned in closer, her eyes wide with concern. "They were saying that you're not meeting expectations, that they might need to let you go if things don't improve. I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you, but I thought you should know." My mind went into overdrive. Was this true? I had always received positive feedback in my reviews. But Sarah seemed so sincere, so genuinely worried about me that I couldn't help but believe her. As the days passed, I found myself growing more paranoid at work. I started questioning my every move, doubting the sincerity of my colleagues, and wondering if I was actually failing without realizing it. And through it all, Sarah was there, offering comfort and reassurance, always with that sweet, understanding smile. It wasn't until much later that I realized the truth. Sarah had been lying. She hadn't overheard any conversations, and my job had never been in jeopardy. But by then, the damage had been done. Sarah had woven a web of lies so intricate and believable that I had lost sight of what was real. And I had let her do it, all because I wanted to believe that someone like her could really care about someone like me. The more time I spent with Sarah, the more entangled I became in her web of deceit. I had started to second-guess everything: my work, my relationships, even my self-worth. And Sarah, with her seemingly endless supply of concern and advice, was always there to guide me, to help me see things clearly. But as the weeks went on, I began to notice something strange. The more Sarah claimed to be helping me, the worse things seemed to get. It started with small things. A comment Sarah made that led me to misunderstand a colleague. A piece of advice that backfired. Then it escalated. One day I missed an important deadline because Sarah accidentally gave me the wrong information. Another time, she convinced me to speak up in a meeting, only for it to end in embarrassment when it became clear that I had misunderstood the entire situation. Each time something went wrong, Sarah was there, apologizing profusely, blaming herself, and then offering to help me fix it. "I'm so sorry, Lily," she'd say, her eyes wide with guilt. "I thought I was helping, but I guess I just made things worse. I don't know what I'd do if I lost your friendship over this." I reassured her time and time again that it wasn't her fault. After all, she was just trying to help. But deep down, a seed of doubt had started to grow. Could it really be that everything was going wrong just by chance? Or was there something more to it? The turning point came one evening when I decided to stay late at the office to catch up on work. I was exhausted, mentally and emotionally drained, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. As I sat at my desk, staring blankly at my computer screen, I overheard voices coming from the hallway. It was Sarah and one of our colleagues, laughing and chatting as they left the office together. Their conversation was light, casual, until my name came up. "Lily's been such a mess lately," Sarah said, her tone almost amused. "I've been trying to help her, but honestly, it's like she's her own worst enemy. She just keeps screwing things up." My heart pounded in my chest as I listened. "I know, right?" the colleague replied, laughing. "It's like she can't get anything right. You're a saint for putting up with her." I felt sick. All this time I had believed Sarah was my friend, that she was genuinely trying to help me, but here she was, mocking me behind my back, treating my struggles as a joke. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Sarah hadn't been helping me at all. She had been orchestrating my downfall, manipulating me into making mistakes, all while playing the role of the concerned friend. I sat there in shock, the pieces finally falling into place. Sarah's sweet words, her concern, her advice, it had all been a lie. A carefully crafted act to keep me under her control while she sabotaged me from the shadows. The more I relied on her, the more power she had over me, and the worse things became. But now that I knew the truth, I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I had been played for a fool, but the game was over. It was time to take back control of my life. The next day, I walked into the office with a renewed sense of purpose. The hurt and betrayal I had felt the night before had transformed into determination. I wasn't going to let Sarah continue her charade. I was going to expose her for the sweet-talking manipulator she really was. I started by distancing myself from her. When she approached me with her usual warm smile and friendly chatter, I kept my responses short and polite. But I made it clear that I wasn't interested in engaging. She noticed the change almost immediately. "Is everything okay, Lily?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. "You seem a little off." I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "I'm fine, Sarah, just busy catching up on work." Her eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of suspicion crossing her face, but she quickly recovered, flashing her usual bright smile. "Well, if you need anything, you know I'm here for you." I nodded, but inside I was seething. I spent the next few days gathering my thoughts, carefully planning my next steps. I needed to expose Sarah without giving her the opportunity to twist the narrative. I knew she was good at that, turning things around, making herself look like the victim. My chance came at the next team meeting. It was the perfect setting, a small informal gathering where we often discussed ongoing projects and any challenges we were facing. As the meeting progressed, I waited for the right moment. And then, just as Sarah began speaking, I took a deep breath and interrupted. "Actually, there's something I need to address," I said, my voice steady but firm. All eyes turned to me, including Sarah's, who looked momentarily surprised. "I've been having some difficulties at work lately, and I think it's important to clarify a few things." I saw Sarah's expression shift slightly, but she stayed silent, waiting to see where I was going with this. "There have been a number of misunderstandings and miscommunications recently, and I've realized that some of the information I've been given has been inaccurate," I continued, choosing my words carefully. "I've also come to understand that certain things I've been told about how others perceive me were not true." I didn't accuse her directly. There was no need. The people in the room were smart enough to read between the lines, to piece together what I was saying. I saw a few of them exchange glances, their expressions growing more serious. "I've realized that I need to be more careful about who I trust, and to ensure that the information I rely on is accurate," I finished, turning to look directly at Sarah. "From now on, I'll be handling things myself. There was a heavy silence in the room. Sarah's smile had frozen on her face, her eyes wide with shock. She opened her mouth as if to say something, but no words came out. She had been blindsided, exposed without me ever having to say her name. After the meeting, Sarah tried to pull me aside. "Lily, what was that about? Are you saying I've been giving you bad information?" I met her gaze, my expression calm but resolute. "I think you know exactly what I'm saying, Sarah, and I'm done playing your games." She stared at me, her eyes searching mine for any sign of weakness, any opportunity to manipulate the situation. But I didn't waver. For the first time, I saw a crack in her facade, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "You've made a mistake, Lily," she said, her voice low, almost threatening. "No, Sarah," I replied, my voice steady. "I made a mistake when I trusted you, but that's over now." I walked away, leaving her standing there, her sweet talk finally silenced. In the weeks that followed, things began to change. My confidence slowly returned, and with it, my ability to perform well at work. Without Sarah's influence, I began to see things more clearly, to trust my instincts again. And as for Sarah, her charm began to wear thin. People started noticing the inconsistencies in her stories, the way she always seemed to be at the center of any drama or misunderstanding. Her influence waned, and eventually she left the company, claiming she needed a fresh start. I never heard from her again, and I didn't look back. The experience had left scars, but it had also taught me a valuable lesson. Not all sweet words are true, and not all smiles are sincere. But I had come out stronger, more resilient, and more aware of the dangers that lurk behind a friendly facade. And as for the sweet talker, well, she was just a chapter in my story, one that I had finally closed.